How is Qigong different from other types of exercise? That is going to be the topic of this episode of Qi Life. So I've just published a article on the blog on longwhitecloudqigong.com, and the title is 10 ways that Qigong is different from normal types of exercise. And I put normal in sort of quote marks throughout that article because there's so many different types of exercise, but really the aim was to differentiate a little bit some of the things that are a bit unique about Qigong as compared to other types of exercise. And the reason why I wrote that article and the reason why I'm making this vlog is it was at least partially in response to a question that someone had on one of the other vlogs on this Qi Life YouTube channel. And the question went something along the lines of, because it was on a video where I was talking about some of the mechanics of how a movement stimulated the energy in a particular Qigong exercise. And there's a bit of detail in there, and I think there might have been a little bit more in the comment section as well when someone talked about something. And so the question was, well, okay, if this moving this way stimulates the energy in the meridians, wouldn't a more vigorous type of exercise, and I think the example he used specifically was basketball, wouldn't that, because it's more vigorous, stimulate the flow of energy even more strongly and be better for you than doing Qigong? And I think it's a valid question, to ask and to compare. What's the difference between just moving, doing normal exercise, normal in speech marks, and the movements that we do in Qigong? What really makes it different? So in the article on longwhitecloudqigong.com, I go through a number of different things that really we do with Qigong that's a bit unique compared to other things. And there's one aspect that kind of summarizes all of that, though, all of those different things. And that's what I'm going to talk about here. I'm going to talk about some different angles of that. And it's the most obvious aspect in many ways, and that is that when we're doing Qigong, we focus on the Qi. Qi means energy, and Gong means work or skill. So Qigong is working with energy, developing skill with energy. And so inherent to any Qigong exercise, if it is Qigong and not something else, is that there's going to be some focus and emphasis on the energy. Now, there's this basic principle that we find in all areas of life, and that is what you focus on, that's where your resources go to. Even in Qigong, it's widely recognized, where your intention goes, that leads the Qi or leads the energy there. That's in every part of life, the energy, other resources as well. And we can see this if we look at maybe some other types of exercise. So for example, if we take basketball, the example from the question. So someone playing basketball or exercising with an aim of playing basketball, there are certain things that make you succeed at basketball. And to some extent it'll be different for different players on the style of game that they play. But there are some things that are generally going to be important. The ability to jump is going to be really useful. The ability to stop and start and turn easily. Endurance to some degree to be able to play the game. The ability to throw or shoot the ball accurately. So all of these require specific physical attributes to do that. And so whether it be specific training you're doing for basketball or just playing basketball itself is going to develop these, because that's kind of how the game works. And so you're going to develop a certain type of shape and look, because your body's resources are going to go to shaping your body and shaping your activity and abilities towards doing that. And so you look at basketball players, they tend to have a certain look. A lot of them are tall, that's one thing, but there are other characteristics in terms of the general shape of their body, their muscle tone, and so on, which comes from playing basketball. If we look at some other examples, maybe if we look at the difference between a weightlifter and a swimmer, and we could get more specific. Okay, obviously there's going to be a different body shape, right? Let's get a bit more specific though. Let's look at the difference between an Olympic weightlifter and a bodybuilder. Both of them, their sport or their activity, their exercise is based around lifting heavy things. But they have quite a different intention in terms of what they're trying to achieve with that. And so that Olympic weightlifter, it's specific lifts they're trying to do, and their aim is to do those specific lifts and lift the absolute heaviest they can. A bodybuilder, on the other hand, will lift heavy things, but their aim is actually not to lift heavy things. Their aim is to cause their muscle mass to grow. And so generally they're going to lift far lighter weights than an Olympic weightlifter, but end up with bigger muscles and different distribution of muscles, and they're going to do a whole range of different types of weightlifting exercises generally to develop those muscles the way that they want them to. So two different things that involve lifting heavy things, but the end result is the body's resources, and in this case it's muscle mass, and also it's going to be sinews and nerve fibers and things like that, get shaped very differently because of them. So, and you know, we can go on and on. A dancer's body is going to look differently from a gymnast, and so on, because their body's resources naturally go into that thing that is the focus of what they're doing. So how does this then apply to Qigong? Well, in Qigong, what's our focus on? It's on the Qi, on the energy. How's that going to shape our body? Well, I'll come back to that in a moment. Because the main thing is it's going to, our ability to move energy is going to be improved. That's where our resources are going to go. Our ability to move energy, strengthen energy, change the quality of energy. Now, once we have that ability, we can use that in many different ways. Some of the examples that I had in the article on the website that I put were things like working with our internal organs, getting the energy to flow freely in our meridians, things like this. These are things that we can focus on once we start to have some ability with our energy. But in reality, we can actually apply that to anything. I mean, one of the main things for most practitioners, and even this, it's not going to be all of them, but for most practitioners is going to be to make themselves healthy. And working with that energy from the inside, directing your resources specifically to these subtle things to make you healthy. You know, other exercise makes you healthy, or can make you healthy, of course it can. But it can also make you unhealthy if that's not your goal. It's quite common for an athlete to overtrain or injure themselves or even damage their organs from their training if they don't do it correctly. And, you know, pushing themselves too hard. Whereas if our focus is on using our energy for health, well, that's what we're going to direct our resources to. Again, I say not everyone. Some people might use Qigong and their focus isn't on their health. It might be using it for something else. And I have seen people who have done that, and the results often aren't, well, maybe they get good at what they're doing, but health isn't one of the results. And this is the thing, because really with Qigong, we can turn it to whatever it is that we choose to focus on. So if our focus is on health, and maybe the health of our organs, we can certainly, if we train in the right way, if we've been instructed well so we understand what to do, that's where our energy is going to go. But beyond that, we can use it for anything in our life. We can use it to become a better painter. We can use it maybe to become a better singer and direct our energy to that once we have some skill and awareness of it. We can also use it to become a better basketball player, a better weightlifter, a better bodybuilder, those things that I've already talked about. Because once we have this more subtle awareness of our energy, we can use it to support ourselves in whatever activity it is that we choose. And this is, I guess if we look at some of the classical uses of Qigong, you know, one of them is medicine, and we've talked about that already in terms of health. Another is the martial arts. You know, it's traditionally and historically been used extensively in the martial arts to achieve peak performance. It's widely recognized that external training, normal just training where you're focusing on maybe you're trying to get good at punching and you just focus on the muscular physical act of punching, that will only take you so far. And at some point you need to go further than that, and you need to tune into the energy and develop some skill with it, so that you can send all those subtle aspects of your resources into getting good at punching. And then that can take you to a whole nother level, higher than what you can do just by more normal means. So hopefully that's an interesting little ramble for some of you. Really, what makes Qigong different from other exercises is the Qi, the focus on the energy. You can apply that in so many ways, but really that's what makes Qigong Qigong, is the focus on the energy. The direct outcomes of that are, 1, you develop awareness and skill with the energy, and then 2, you can direct that to whatever you like. One of the most common things, certainly initially, is towards health, and you can then become very effective at using your exercise to achieve health if you do that. But you can then use it to actually become even better, more skilled at whatever other kind of exercise or sport you might be involved in. So none of this is in any way, and I don't think I've implied that in any way, to say that Qigong, should replace all other kinds of sports and exercise and physical activity. Far from it. I enjoy other kinds of sports and exercise as well. If anything, though, Qigong can give us a different dimension to our use of our body, our use of our mind, our use of our energy. And once we have developed some skill with that, and there are specific Qigong practices that we do as Qigong that are really good for helping us to develop that skill, we can use that to enrich those other kinds of physical activity and exercise. Alright, I hope you've enjoyed the vlog. Hopefully it's been an interesting one for you. If you have, please like, comment, subscribe, share, all those good things. And I look forward to seeing you on the next one.